There's a Tesla rebounding ever so slightly today. The stock is down roughly 25%. That's just for the month of November.
Tesla is executing wonderfully in their business plan. And I hate to say this, but Tesla doesn't really need Elon as much as it used to. Investors are valuing Tesla now like Elon has quit Tesla. And that is a huge error and a great opportunity for investors who are willing to take the risk on such a consequential company. So this is a very unique opportunity for investors who can see past the noise.
In this video, as Tesla stock hovers around 2-year lows, raging Tesla bull Ross Gerber bangs the drum on what he sees as an epic buying opportunity. Makes two of us, Ross. I've also been buying with literally every spare cent. I'm not sure how much longer this sale will last, but I'm making the absolute most of it. And just a quick note, if you'd like more content, 229 exclusive videos and counting, in fact, you can join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link at the pinned comment. See you over there.
I mean, what is going on? Like, I used to be obsessed with Elon Musk's tweets, but frankly, I just don't have the time because he's on it all the time, and Tesla's not doing great.
Yeah, I think the highly online CEO giveth and the highly online CEO taketh away, right? I think, absolutely China is a big concern for them.
Raise your hand if you have a brain. Now, keep raising your hand if you think there's a big concern in China for Tesla. I noticed there are literally no hands raised currently. Interesting. This is one of the strangest narratives I've heard about Tesla, and I've heard plenty of them. I've been following this company for a long ass time. I don't know where this came from. Tesla's still running their Shanghai facility at maximum capacity, producing as many vehicles as they possibly can from their Shanghai factory. These vehicles are being sold domestically, and it's also Tesla's main export hub. Tesla's made in China also find their way to Australia. Shout out to my Aussie friends. Let me rephrase the statement from our friend here. There is unfounded concern about Tesla in China, exclusively found in vacant craniums. If you're new around here, you may not be aware that Tesla massively, and I mean massively, increased their prices across the range globally on just about every vehicle they produce by 20-30+% in the last 18 months. This is not good. Tesla has been forced to raise prices to keep demand and wait times in check. It is inevitable. There will be further price cuts in the future. Tesla wants more people to be able to afford their vehicles. It's in their fucking master plan. It's on their website. They've literally told everyone their plan. But as soon as the first price cut happens, the FUD tsunami comes. Oh my God, there's no demand. They're slashing prices because demand's collapsing. Oh my God, there's big concerns for Tesla in China. If Tesla's cutting prices, it means they're executing their plan. If Tesla was suddenly announcing they're going to reduce capacity at some of their factories because there's too much production and not enough demand, that would be a problem. That might be a big concern. But instead, they're expanding their footprint and expanding their production capacity as fast as possibly globally right now. There is no concern about Tesla in China or anywhere else except in empty heads. Just because you say a thing is true does not mean it's true. There are no legitimate concerns about Tesla in China or anywhere else. Keyword, legitimate.
They've had to cut price recently, and there was a sort of bearish note late on Friday that maybe there's sort of concerns swirling in the market about the need for further price cut.
Yes.
We're seeing it become an even more competitive market with even Mercedes last week doing a big price cut, and I think the sort of amount of tweeting that he's doing is just a very obvious signal to the market that he's extremely distracted and has his hands full with Twitter.
Yeah, so if you're a shareholder, you're probably not all that happy with your Tesla stock right now. What do you do about it?
You're not, and you're asking increasingly for a stock buyback. That's been the sort of buzz on of all places on Twitter. Elon's fans asking for the company to consider a big buyback. This was actually something that came up on the earnings call last month, and Elon addressed it in a highly unconventional way, sort of openly talking about the idea that the board is, deliberating over this, the possibility of a $5 to $10 billion buyback, being something that could be done. But he's also more recently referred to the idea that this is up to the board, so he's sort of, deferred to them.
So, I mean, what kind of timeline are we talking about if there is a potential buyback?
I think the comment on the earnings call was 2023. I think, of course, that's going to be dependent on just how confident management and the board are about cash flow and sort of the state of the business. And so, maybe this is a way for the board to signal confidence, but also it may be a little bit of sort of there may be a bearish takeaway from this that the stock that the cash couldn't be put to use in other ways. So it could cut both ways, whether they do this or not.
Regarding Tesla share buybacks, I've discussed this in detail. I was one of the retail investors banging the table. Hey guys, the stock's cheap. You got too much money. What are you going to do with the spare money? I've covered this in detail, but just to sum it up, in case you're new around here, because people always misunderstand. Tesla is piling up more money than they can spend. I want to make sure everyone got this. They are spending as much money as they possibly can, yet it still is piling up and up and up and up. They put about another $3 billion in the bank last quarter. Next quarter will be even more. So will the next quarter, and the next quarter, and the next quarter. Buying back shares isn't taking away from other opportunities, research and development, new factories, new technology, recruiting talent. It doesn't take away from any of this. The question is, what should Tesla do with the excess money that's piling up after they've spent as much as they possibly can, growing as fast as they possibly can? And with Tesla stock around 2-year lows, I mean, it is an absolute fucking no-brainer. The alternative, of course, is to buy shitcoin or keep it in cash and watch it erode due to inflation. Of course, if Tesla does do share buybacks, the fudsters will be out in droves claiming that Tesla can't find ways to spend their money, and that's a bad thing. Demand's collapsing, so they can't invest in new vehicle products or some shit. I don't know what it is, but the point is, no matter what goes down, share buybacks will be painted very bearishly. Tesla's not growing as fast anymore. Oh, geez, well, that's the end of Tesla's growth. The truth is, Tesla's a money printing machine. They're piling up more cash than they know what to do with. They're literally spending as fast as they possibly can, and they still have a mountain of cash. $20+ billion of cash and cash equivalents, and it's growing $3+ billion per quarter. Next year, if they don't spend anything, there's going to be $30+ billion sitting in the bank. So a piddly little 5 to 10 billion, it's nothing. 1 or 2 quarters of profits. That's it. Potential return on this, however, is massive, and it helps to counter the dilution shareholders faced by new stock being issued to compensate employees. It's a win-win.
The Tesla rebounding ever so slightly today. The stock is down roughly 25%. That's just for the month of November. Our Phil LeBeau has more on a name that has vastly underperformed the broader automotive sector, Phil.
Oh, easily, by a wide margin, David, down more than 50% year to date. Take a look at what's happened to Tesla over the last 2 years. You talk about a roller coaster ride, because we're looking at shares now trading at a 2-year low, and that had a nice move. You know, it was sort of towards the middle to end of 2020 when you really start to see shares accelerate. Well, they've given all that up now, despite the fact that when you look at the metrics behind the profits and losses and manufacturing and production from Tesla, there's no indication that the company is slowing down.
Holy shit. Someone on CNBS just said something that makes sense about Tesla. Do my ears deceive me? Did that just happen? Did Phil LeBeau just point out that despite Tesla's stock getting absolutely creamed, being at 2-year lows, the actual numbers, the shit that matters, Tesla's execution, paints a very different story? Is he just pointing out the insane disconnect? Did this just happen on CNBS? Round of applause to Phil LeBeau. Congratulations, my friend. I shouldn't be impressed, but honestly, I'm stunned.
Take a look at this. Revenue this year up 579% compared to 2021.
I think a decimal point's gone missing on that revenue number, but hey, let's give them a pass. At least they're trying.
EBITDA up 167%. Deliveries up 45%. Just a hair under their guidance, if you will, their rough guidance of increasing deliveries on an annual basis by at least 50%. And then in terms of its market share, at least here in the United States, they're still king of the hill.
I just can't get it. I literally don't know what's happening right now, guys. What the fuck's going on? Did the folks at CNBS have a private meeting going, oh, hey guys, I just realized that Tesla's not actually a car company. Despite the shit that we've been saying for the last 10 years, they're not a car company. And they're dominating, and the competition isn't coming anywhere but all over themselves prematurely and embarrassingly fast. It's as if they had a secret meeting. Go, okay guys, well, time to turn off the FUD tap. We've just started buying. Now let's crank it up to actually spitting some facts and talking reality so that we can benefit from our recently acquired Tesla stock. Now, I'm not suggesting this happened, because that would definitely never happen, but I'm just saying, this is weird. The fuck's going on? Now, in fairness, Phil's generally been pretty reasonable and unbiased toward Tesla. He typically talks about facts. But now he's pointing out the insanity of Tesla's stock price today and over the last 2 years versus the company's execution with actual numbers, actual data to back it up. It's bizarre. Or maybe they just got sick of being referred to accurately as CNBS.
Roughly 2 out of every 3 electric vehicles sold in this country are Tesla models, and that's not going to change anytime soon. Do we expect that market share to come down, let's say over the next year to 2 years? Yeah, likely, but right now their average selling price, just over $51,000. So that brings up the question, why are shares under pressure?
Should I spoil it? I'm going to spoil it. The reason Tesla stock is down, in my uninformed opinion, is because of factors nothing the fuck to do with Tesla. Noise, emotions, herd mentality, super daft investors who are getting swept up in the fear, uncertainty, and doubt. It's stunning. This is why I continue to repeat this over and over and over and over. I mean, Phil gets it. The guy's just gone, hey guys, 2-year lows, but look at the execution, look at the numbers, look at the market share. Like, hello?
Well, a lot of it has to do with Elon Musk. In part, you've had the Tesla stock sales, which had to go to fund his acquisition of Twitter. And on top of that, if you look at what he has been tweeting and what he has been saying about Tesla, it really hasn't been much in the last month and a half. And as a result, there's no story to drive this stock. And in fact, over the last day or two, a lot of the stories are Is business slowing down in China? Take a look at Tesla versus GM and Toyota. This is the indication of how far Tesla has fallen relative to other automakers, guys. It is down, 51%, and then you've got GM and Toyota down 21 and 31%. So
now this is funny as fuck. We've got two Titanics here, General Motors and Toyota. I mean, you guys have seen the videos, right? They're both fucked. They're literally headed toward an iceberg on an imminent collision course. And the iceberg itself, the thing that is going to sink these companies, is down 51%, nearly 52%. You got Titanic number 1 down less than 40%, and Titanic number 2 down just over 20%. The iceberg that will sink these Titanics is down about twice as much as the Titanics themselves. This, in my opinion, really does not make sense. Of course, in my opinion, the stock market really does make sense. This is why investors can take advantage of opportunities. But this is just absolutely fucking hilarious. I just don't have the words.
It is a case where right now, if you are a Tesla investor, you're wondering, where's the story? Because this is what drives this stock right now.
Yeah, that's a great point, Phil. Obviously, we should still point out it's roughly tenfold, the market cap, tenfold that of GM or Ford. But I wonder, is there a linkage between Twitter and the performance of which, of course, we don't know a lot about anymore, at least in the stock market. It's a private company, but it is solely owned by Mr. Musk. You pointed out he's not tweeting as much about Tesla. He's clearly got his focus on Twitter, it would seem. Is there a linkage? Is there anything you would point to in terms of the weakness in Tesla because of what's going on at Twitter?
Mainly that he is more focused on Twitter, and he's not as focused in terms of whether it's tweeting, whether it's doing anything so people remember that Tesla is out there. That has been so much of what has driven Tesla over the last couple of years, David.
I vehemently disagree on this point, although it's an interesting narrative. If this were the case, if Elon's comments and commentary around Tesla were really driving the stock, when he pointed out obvious things like FSD is going to change the world, the value of these assets overnight, as soon as we awaken the robotaxi fleet, it's going to go to the fucking moon. We had a huge number of applicants, high quality applicants after AI Day number 1. We've done X amount of miles. I could just keep going on. Just about every time Elon or Tesla point out anything that's obvious and important and extremely bullish for the company, the stock gets creamed because Wall Street doesn't understand it. It's absurd to suggest that Elon's commentary around Tesla is moving the stock. It is reasonable to suggest that the fear in the market about Elon being distracted or Elon might sell more stock to fund Twitter, that's legitimate concern. That has caused many big institutional investors to sell and many emotionally immature retail investors to cry in the corner, but it's all noise. I know this is an extremely controversial view, but I'll share it anyway. I personally believe that if Elon Musk is temporarily very focused on Twitter, Tesla will still remember how to produce their vehicles and write their software. And the data flywheel that's out there, the fleet of 3+ million vehicles collecting data for their autonomous software, the auto labeling, will continue to happen with or without Elon Musk being actively present or extremely focused on Tesla. I know controversial opinions, crazy, but I actually think it's true. And here's another one. I also think the customers buying Tesla vehicles today and waiting 3, 6, 9, 12+ months to take delivery will still be waiting 3, 6, 9, 12+ months to take delivery and will still be ordering Tesla vehicles. I know, it's very controversial and super crazy. I know, I just tinfoil hat shit. I know, I'm crazy. What else can I say? Yet another fascinating case of perception versus reality. The gap, opportunity.
And that's not happening right now. If you look at what he's tweeting about the changes at Twitter that are happening and how it's a public town square, whatever it is. There's very little, almost no tweets about Tesla.
But Phil, let's step back and consider what you're actually saying here. This is a stock that over 2 years is about flat in Tesla. Over 3 years, it's up over 700%. Okay. Right. So it's had this monster move, and somehow, to some degree, the stock performance was highly dependent on how much the CEO tweeted about it. Right? I mean, you mentioned all the fundamentals, but there's also worried about China stock demand, China Tesla demand as well is filtered in.
Well, Mike, I'm not saying that Elon Musk is the only reason that the stock moves up or moves down. Look what's happened over the last 3 years, or the last 5 years, when you have the Model Y, the Model 3, the accelerating sales, the accelerating production. Let's talk about what they have on deck right now. Tell me what's next for Tesla, aside from December 1st and the beginning of deliveries for the Tesla semi-trucks, which is not going to move the needle. What else is out there?
Is this a joke? Do we really need to go down the list? In addition to the Tesla Semi delivery December 1st to Pepsi, the first customer, we've got FSD wide release, give or take about 1 million customers able to use the software soon in North America. We've got the Cybertruck launch next year, continued ramping up of the 4680 cell, 2 gigantic new facilities ramping up rapidly, Berlin and Austin, insane production growth. We've got the $7,500 EV tax credit, which is completely unnecessary, but as a Tesla stock investor, I will certainly take it. We've got the potential announcement of new gigafactories. Tesla has hinted at this. We'll probably hear about one of those in the next 12 months, maybe 2. Tesla are also likely to unveil their new, more affordable vehicle. And then there's the whole printing obscene amounts of money and Wall Street being so far off the mark with their EPS estimates. At some point, Wall Street's going to have to massively revise up their Tesla earnings estimates. And then there's the world finally figuring out that Elon being temporarily distracted at Twitter is not going to materially impact Tesla's execution or anything about the company. And I guess there's no point talking about the whole Tesla bot thing, is there? So, great question, Phil. What else is there? Not much, just about half a dozen enormous catalysts, that's all.
All right, maybe they pick a new manufacturing facility in the next year. There's nothing fundamentally with that business that is driving momentum right now.
The word momentum there is rather telling. I was so happy and impressed with Phil earlier in this clip. He's talking about the numbers, data, things that actually are relevant. Next minute, he's talking about momentum.
Yeah, certainly remarkable. If you plot Tesla, GM against each other for the last 3 or 6 months, pretty amazing what's going on, Phil. Thank you.
Well, let's keep this in perspective here. Tesla is executing wonderfully in their business plan and
fact check. True.
Has been hugely successful as a company. And Elon was looking for a new challenge this year. And what was the most difficult and horrendous challenge he could take on? And it was Twitter. So he decided to do that.
It's funny because it's true.
But, it's not Elon's long-term goal to be the CEO of Twitter, and he's in a restructuring phase right now, which I assume will go probably through the end of the year. And then hopefully he'll have new management in place and team at Twitter that will do a wonderful job there, and he can refocus his energies on Tesla. But I hate to say this, but Tesla doesn't really need Elon as much as it used to.
Absolutely agreed. This was a very different story just a couple of years ago, but today, honestly, while Elon Musk is a nice to have, I don't personally believe he's critical to the company. They have an incredible product roadmap. If Elon disappeared for 10 years, fast forward 2032, in my opinion, Tesla's still in a dominant position on everything that matters. EVs, autonomy, batteries, and the humanoid robot. Don't get me wrong, Elon is an accelerant, but even in his absence, I think Tesla's going to be just fucking fine, to put it lightly. This is not the perception that the stock market currently has, though. If you need a hint about this, check out Tesla stock.
And it's a very big, mature company that has a lot of projects that are moving along with great leadership. And investors are valuing Tesla now like Elon has quit Tesla. And that is a huge error and a great opportunity for investors who are willing to take the risk on such a consequential company. So this is a very unique opportunity for investors who can see past the noise.
I'm definitely on the same page as Ross Gerber here. Bought more Tesla stock today. As I said, literally buying with every spare cent. Picked up a little bit more today at a little under $169 per share, which is unequivocal proof that the flying spaghetti monster is real. And how do I know that? Because I've been praying to the flying spaghetti monster for months. Please extend your noodly appendage and fiddle in the minds of investors in the stock market to help me buy Tesla stock as cheap as possible for as long as possible. P.S. I'll share some of the profits with you in a couple of decades' time. Turns out the flying spaghetti monster is a capitalist because my prayers have been answered. All hail the flying spaghetti monster.
All right, so let's get some price targets there. Where do you think Tesla is headed? As you said, they have a great footprint. Tesla is loved by many. I know they have competition sort of nipping at the heels, but Tesla is Tesla. Where should it head?
Well, we think this next year in 23, we're going to have earnings, the street saying $6, my friend Gary saying over $7. So if you take somewhere in there and you extrapolate out its growth rate of 50% earnings and revenue growth over time, you could say the stock's worth, $300 to $350 a share, and that's where it should be trading. So that's why it's such a huge opportunity, because there's nobody even close to doing what Tesla's doing.
So Ross Gerber sees 50% upside for Tesla stock, worth $350 per share in the best case, currently under $170 per share. And just on the EPS, my current base case for Tesla stock next year in EPS, $6.85. Bull case, almost double that amount. I personally will be stunned if Tesla does less than $7 in EPS in 2023. Then again, I'm also personally stunned that Tesla stock today is less than $170 per share. Am I the only one who's been buying the dip? Let me know in the comments below. Lastly, don't forget to join Patreon with the card in the corner or the link in the pinned comment. Access almost 230 exclusive videos and counting rapidly, plus my Tesla stock price targets out over the next decade, which again, just for clarity's sake, aren't a prediction of what Tesla will be worth, but what I believe to be fair value based on the outputs of my valuation model, which is also available exclusively on Patreon to supporters at the investor level and above. So I'll see you over there. Love ya.